I'm Dianne Herman, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of the Greater Dayton area. And I'm here today with the candidates who are running for Dayton City Commission. There are 6 candidates running in the special election. The candidates are listed in alphabetical order, and please correct me if I mispronounce any of your names. The candidates are Marcus Bendinger, Valerie Duncan, David Israti, Matt Joseph, Christopher L. Shaw, and Jordan Wortham. And we'll start our interviews by giving the candidates 1 minute to tell us about themselves and why they want to serve as Dayton City Commissioner. We're going to start with Marcus Bendinger, and he's going to go first to tell us why he wants to serve on the Dayton City Commission.
Thank you. It is Bettinger, so I'm Marcus Bettinger, of course, and I'm born and raised in Dayton. I'm 34 years old. My father was an IUECWA union worker at GM and then Delphi. My mom was a church secretary. I'm a proud parent myself now, and I'm actually on daddy duty, so I have some guardrails in place, but if you see a kid, please forgive me now. And I'm running for city commission because I do love this city. I've lived here most of my life. I do things around the city all the time. I'm downtown a lot. I'm around the city and other places doing things. But I live in Roosevelt. And when you live in the West and the East Side, you see problems in the community that still need addressed. And so I'm running for city commission to address some of those problems that I see every day and that many Daytonians see every day. And I think I have that in common with a lot of people in this city. And I think we'll share those commonalities, and it gets some people motivated to vote.
Valerie Duncan. Please tell us why you want to serve as Dayton City Commissioner.
My name's Valerie Duncan. I'm from a labor blue-collar family. Was raised here in Dayton, went to the high schools, graduated from Wright State University, and I've been around to the different neighborhood association and business meetings. I see a lot of frustration, a lot of anger, a lot of disappointment of the residents of Dayton. We have a lot of blight in our neighborhoods. It has not been addressed adequately. We have a lot of problems with our roads, our surfaces, and also our water is tainted. We need to do something about that. So I want to roll up my sleeves and serve the residents and the community of Dayton. Please support me in my campaign.
David Israti, why do you want to serve as Dayton City Commissioner?
I want to serve as Dayton City Commissioner because I don't work for a demolition company, a developer, or a landfill operator. Those are the people who've been making money in the city of Dayton for the last 50 years. We've been amazingly successful at tearing down our city and not very good at building it up unless you're downtown. This is a pivotal election because finally we can break the hold of the secret society or the monarchy of Montgomery County, which has been running our city from a back room. We could have 3 votes on the commission that are independent thinkers, one of whom, myself, who actually has creative ideas and solutions to move this city forward. I have seen that happen in the South Park neighborhood where I bought a house in 1986 for $14,500. Houses on my block now go in the $200,000 range. I want to do that for all of Dayton.
And Matt Joseph, why do you want to serve as Dayton City Commissioner?
Good morning. First of all, thank you for hosting this forum. It's important the voters hear our voices, and we really appreciate the role of the league in putting this together. I'd like to be a city commissioner. Again, I'm a sitting city commissioner. I'd like to be elected again because there's a lot of work to be done. We've come through some tough times over these last few decades, and things are starting to get better. I really want to be part of those solutions and continue to innovate and find better ways to do things to help our citizens. Thank you.
And Christopher Shaw, why do you want to serve as Dayton City Commissioner?
Yes, good morning, and thank you. Thank you, too, for hosting this event, League of Women Voters. I want to continue to be a Dayton City Commissioner because I believe in this city. I'm a small business owner and a business that has been in business in Dayton for 113 years. And I like to see the city continue to grow. We have an awful lot of work developing this community, strengthening, yes, downtown, but it's downtown that drives the development for the rest of our city. And we're starting to see a lot of that into the poor neighborhood. I want to continue to make that happen. We've brought a lot of good development opportunities. We've done a lot in terms of workforce. We've done a lot in forms of safety and police reform. We do that, continue to lead. And I ask you for your vote.
And Jordan Wortham, why do you want to serve as Dayton City Commissioner?
I wanted to start off and say thank you for having us here so the voters can hear us. I'm Jordan Wortham. I'm born and raised in West Dayton. I lived in West Dayton 25 years of my life. I'm the son of a Dayton police officer. My dad was a part of the Black FOP back in the day, and I admired my dad and his service. He had such a rapport as a homicide detective, citizens he served. I idolized that. I wanted to be a part of that, so I became a Dayton police officer and served for 7 years. The city wants, it's simple. They want to fight the blight. They want more transparency. They don't want bickering and arguing between the Democrat Party 3-seat and 2-seat and all the political nonsense. They want a collaboration of 5-seat commissioners. I'm here and I'm an example of my son. And, you know, my son's 5. When he grows up, I want him to look at his dad like his dad actually was a fighter and stood up for principle in the community. And so I'm here and I hope you check me out, jordanfordayton.com.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to ask each candidate the same questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to speak to each question. There are 3 questions. And then I will move on to the next candidate and give them also 2 minutes to respond. And we'll start with Valerie Duncan. And our first question is, what decisions made by the Dayton City Commission in the past 4 years did you not support?
Okay, well, there's several, but one of them that is affecting all the neighborhoods throughout the whole city of Dayton is not adequately funding our housing inspection division. We used to have 36 housing inspectors. Now we're down to, we were down last year just only 2. And that's not, you know, there's no code enforcement, so there's trash all over the place. Rundown houses, empty, boarded houses, dilapidated houses, burnt piles where there has been fire damage, and there's just piles of debris on the ground, attracting rats and rodents and other animals and trash. There's burnt down structures that haven't been demolished, and this is affecting the neighborhoods. All of the neighborhoods throughout the whole city of Dayton. I've been everywhere. And the city commission, the 4 years that Matt Joseph and Chris Shaw were city commissioner, and Matt Joseph has been on the city commission for 20 years. This would be his 6th term. What have they done about it? It was under their watch. And now they're trying to play catch up, and the policies that they have in place are not going to address any of these problems. We need solutions to these problems, and we need them through the city commission. The city commission needs to get on the ball and get with it. We have all kinds of issues. Low interest loans provide help to seniors for repair, restoration funding. Also, bring back that $1. You can buy a house for $1. If you fix it up, it's yours in 5 years.
David Israedi. What decisions made by the Dayton City Commission in the past 4 years did you not support?
Well, let's be clear. 4 years ago, the FBI said there was a culture of corruption in Dayton, and they indicted and then sent to prison a former Dayton City Commissioner, Joey Williams. Now, it takes 3 votes for anything to happen on the city commission. So any contracts that Joey was able to steer, there were at least 2 other votes. That means that Commissioner Shaw, Commissioner Joseph, now Mayor Mims, and former Mayor Whaley, 2 of those 4 worked along with it, and the city manager, and probably the planning department head. We have not seen the end of the culture of corruption until we remove the culture of corruption. And I fully believe that before this election in November, I will have the tapes that were made of Mayor Whaley that were played to the grand jury, which show how she was getting money from Roush, who made that big hole on Ludlow and then stuck the city with the bill, where millions of dollars went out to student suites that we never recovered. This has happened on Shaw and Joseph's watch. But that's not all. When there was the tornadoes, we were without water because we didn't have power at the pumping stations. I went to the commission chambers. I'd asked Commissioner Fairchild. I told him I'd be late. I got thrown out of the commission chambers. You know what I was going to suggest, which they didn't want to hear, was you call the National Guard to come in because they have generators, and they could have hooked up those generators in the well field and gotten our water going. But no, these people don't want to hear from people. They don't want to operate in any way other than what works for them with their puppet strings. And last but not least, we continue to waste our money tearing down our
Mr.
city
Israedi, I want
when
to
it
remind
doesn't
you that
solve
we
the
need to
problems.
answer the question.
I am answering the question. There's 3 things. The culture of corruption hasn't been dealt with, the tornado response fail, and the continued demolition, which hasn't worked for 30 years, and they
Thank
still
you.
do it again. It's
Thank
very
you.
clear.
Thank you. Matt Joseph, what decisions made by the Dayton City Commission in the past 4 years did you not support?
I think that before I answer that, I would like to answer a couple things that have been said. One specific thing that we've done regarding housing.
Please direct your
is that,
answer to the question, not to the other candidates. Thank you.
All right. I think that the question is, what could we have done better? Since I already served on commission, I was part of those decisions. And the truth is, there's a lot of work to be done. There's no doubt about it. We have a plan now to tear down 1,100 more houses. If we could have done that quicker, we would have. If we could have anticipated the difficulties that would take place, we would have done police reform earlier. Of course, it's easy to say with 2020 vision, it's hindsight, right? So I think that there are things that I wish we could have done better, but because of resource constraints and other reasons, it didn't happen.
And Christopher Shaw, what decisions made by the Dayton City Commission in the past 4 years did you not support?
Similar to what Commissioner Joseph said, I supported every decision that we voted for. So can we do things better? Yes. Can we do more? Absolutely. And we continue to do this work. It took our community several decades to get in the situation that I found it when I first got elected. So it's going to take some time, but I think we're on the right path. We've been making some terrific inroads. We do blight removal in this community because that's what the citizens want. That's what they tell us that they want time after time, and that's what we are going to do. We are preparing our neighborhoods to become much more attractive, incent development in those neighborhoods. The issue is that we need more folks to move back to the city of Dayton, and we're starting to see the decline in population stabilize. And it's because of the work that we've done in downtown and other parts of the community. I think you'd have to be blind to say that there haven't been significant movement in the right direction in our neighborhoods. And we're going to continue to do that work. Through the passing of Issue 9, we have paved countless numbers of road miles, and we're going to continue to do that until we have all of the roads paved in the city. So I'm really excited about the work that we've done, both in police reform, how we attract workers to these terrific job opportunities that are here in Dayton. We've got about 3 jobs for every person. We need to do better in that space. I'm here in Washington, D.C. this week, lobbying on behalf of Dayton and making sure that Dayton's voice is heard. And I'm going to continue to do that work, and I'm going to ask you for your support.
And Jordan Wortham, What decisions made by the Dayton City Commission in the past 4 years did you not support?
Thank you. There's numerous things that he passed that I don't agree with, and I don't want to go into too much detail on too many line items that the current commissioners pass. For example, the emergency orders, I think, are just abused. The city manager and certain city commissioners are sneaking through things that public can't see. It's like they wait to the last moment, and you have a few days, they pass it. For example, the last debacle for the annual budget, the emergency order, there was no collaboration between certain commissioners with Commissioner Turnsloss and Commissioner Fairchild. You could see the bickering back and forth. Certain commissioners calling other commissioners, their name calling, they're acousting each other. Then they're just mislabeling what actually is occurring. We need a team effort. There's obviously certain commissioners not wanting to work together. And that's just a shame. The last emergency order with the youth getting the $1 million is like peanuts, and it's like a spigot in a bucket. I think our youth is our future. To just approve $1 million. During the debate, the mayor wanted to pass a budget, and then one commissioner said, "What are we even voting on?" And it was just a bunch of political nonsense. The community wants better. They want more transparency, more accountability. To run a fiscal budget for any business or operation, you should be doing that weekly and bi-monthly. And the commissioner here said he agreed to everything. So in his opinion, everything is perfect. But I think you're listening to this forum because you know everything isn't perfect and you want better. Thank you.
And Marcus Benninger, what decisions made by the Dayton City Commission in the past 4 years did you not support?
Thank you. We'll get it right by the end of the forum. It's Bettinger.
Bettinger, okay. I'll get it eventually.
Yeah, it's okay. It's news to me that I'm blind, but I see a lot of problems in this community. But I was just at the city commission meeting recently speaking against the expansion of police surveillance technology. And I think a lot of people are confused about my disapproval of that vote. And it's not because I am against public safety or I'm against police. I think our police have a job to do. I agree with their mission, absolutely. But when we're talking about giving the police expanded powers, we need to have a more holistic conversation about what that means. And so I was talking about guardrails for people and being transparent about how this technology will be used. And I think the commission put in place some of that, and we found out in that process that it doesn't really have teeth. And so when the police are bringing back impact reports that don't really explore the impact of already vulnerable committees, and the commission is yet expanding their capabilities in this community, I think we need to have a different discussion, particularly when, and I know this is a state trial and we're not putting up any money right now, but we have approved it for continued use. And so we will be talking about the bill eventually. And that's a shame because we have a fire station closed right now. And houses catching on fire about every 2 to 3 days at this point. And so when we're talking about public safety, it needs to be a fuller conversation about how these resources are being allocated. And so if you ask me what I disagreed with in the past 4 years, just one clear example is the expansion of that Fusus technology. It's downtown now, but we know where it's going. We know it's heading past this prologue with policing. And so we know how that's going to turn out. And the police tried to play fast and loose with what that impact would be. And I think that's a real shame.
Thank you. David Ezrati, the second question, propose a policy or program for the city of Dayton that has not been tried before.
Well, I'm going to tell you flat out, it's been tried because we have a free bus on my side of town where people are wealthy and everybody else has to pay to get on the bus. If we want to reverse poverty, the fares that are collected from the fare box are less than 9% of RTA's budget. If we want to get people out of poverty, getting them to places to work, for a lot less than the price of a car would help them considerably in terms of living in these times of rising expenses. I think it would be a lot more beneficial to do that than to give $178,000 to a guy to start a chicken joint on North Main Street. I think it would be a lot more effective than pouring millions more into the arcade after they've already spent a couple $1,000,000 making a big hole across the street where they never recovered anything, or when the city manager blighted the corner of Wyoming and Wayne for a Kroger that never came. We've seen the same solutions over and over, and none of them make sense unless you are a demolition contractor, a owner of a landfill, or a developer downtown, and that has to stop. Quite frankly, the huge addition of warehouse jobs out by the airport is a prime reason why we need free transportation out there, because now the roads are overburdened there, the people can't get to the jobs. If we want to solve that problem, if we want to get the people of Dayton out to the airport, we need to figure out a better way to get them there so they're not dependent on cars.
Matt Joseph, please propose a policy or program for the city of Dayton that has not been tried before.
Thank you. One thing that I've been working on for quite a while now, and it's really found some traction, is trying to figure out a way to make our city operations more sustainable and to extend that to residents too. Something I'd love to do if there was no bar to financing would be to try to figure out how to use city resources and talent to figure out how to help folks do residential solar, to put solar panels on their own roofs. I think that it's one of the biggest problems of our day is this use of carbon intensive energy. We've done things already at the city to try to move people to renewable energy. We've moved most of our residents, at least the majority of our residents, to electric aggregation that uses renewable energy. We're doing the same at the city, and we're moving our fleet to be more renewable too. But if there was a way that we could use those city resources to help folks to make their own energy from the sun, I'd love to do that. Thank you.
Christopher Shaw, propose a policy or program for the city of Dayton that has not been tried before.
Yes, thank you for that great question. And I will agree. Transportation is a big part of that. We should be doing everything that we can do to strengthen our transportation infrastructure, because what we're finding out is that what I know is that transportation is freedom. Freedom to connect with healthcare, freedom to connect with jobs, with education. So I am on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee with the National League of Cities, and I've been working to strengthen those pipelines. Also, passenger rail. If we are able to implement 3C&D, it could be transformational to the city of Dayton in terms of that transportation connectivity, but also as an economic development driver. When you have a rail station in your community, it expands in every direction by 7-9 blocks. So that can be a game changer for our community, and that's why I'm doing the work here this week at the National League of Cities Conference to strengthen those pipelines, lobbying our congressional delegation, connecting with others in our region to have one unified voice to provide these great economic development. I agree, we should be able to connect in a meaningful way with the RTA and having opportunities to connect out at the airport with these great economic development drivers that we have out. But to tell you the truth, we've been studying that. Hasn't been a whole lot of, well, I should say enough synergy. Let's keep trying because once again, transportation is freedom. Thank you very much.
And Jordan Wortham, propose a policy or program for the city of Dayton that has not been tried before.
Yes, I would gear and focus on civic engagement. Me growing up, I'm infatuated with history of Dayton. I remember the C.J. McClin days where he would meet once a month with people, the Dean Lovelace, Mayor Ryan McClin, Commissioner Bootsy Neal. So I would propose a town hall requirement twice a month where you have questions and answers that creates dialogue and transparency. That's the first policy I would create. And I would also change the 3-minute rule. I would double it to 6 that we currently have to allow people to talk. This allows the community to hold the government more accountable. If they can ask questions in a public forum and the city commissioners have to respond, it will collaborate the community, it'll create trust, it'll help bring Dayton forward drastically in terms of discourse. And also just, we've seen recently just the petition problem. It's outdated. I would immediately pass that. 500 signatures to run for Dayton City Commission, I think just protects the incumbents. I think we can all agree we can cut it down to 250. To notarize every paper is over cumbersome. I want to have more challengers on the ballot. I think people want more choices. They don't want just the current sitting commissioners and nobody challenging them. I think that those two policies, majority of Dayton would agree with, and it would definitely challenge the establishment of the incumbent endorsed Democrat sitting commissioners. I think people want commissioners to serve people and not parties. And again, it's just no collaboration between 2 commissioners and 3. And I think we need an independent voice on that 3rd seat, and it would change the paradigm greatly. Thank you.
And Marcus Benninger, propose a policy or program for the city of Dayton that has not been tried before.
All right, thank you. Bettinger, Marcus
Bettinger.
So I think, I don't think I would be proposing this. It's been tried around the country, and I believe our mayor has actually brought this idea up, but I believe a universal basic income in the city of Dayton would be transformational in terms of economic empowerment. Dayton lost a lot of jobs a long time ago, and to Commissioner Shaw's point, we have a lot of new jobs in this city that are hard to access, whether it's education or transportation. And so, we have some challenges in terms of filling those jobs. At the same time, what we know is that a job is not always a key to economic freedom. It is a huge ladder. But it's still a challenge when we're talking about actual incomes. And so this city has a problem with people working multiple jobs and people not making enough in the jobs that they do have. And so I think exploring a basic income for this city could be transformational in terms of the money people have to spend and invest here while they're here in Dayton. And I think that's really important. It's one thing to live in Dayton. It's another to thrive here and to be a part of the growth and the rehabilitation of this city. And so I think that's just one policy that, like I said, I wouldn't be proposing, but I would happily support because I know what it can do. We've seen it in study after study and in test case after test case across the country and other places around the world. And I think that's a really good idea for the challenges that Dayton faces, specifically in terms of economic empowerment. Thank you.
And Valerie Duncan, propose a policy or program for the city of Dayton that has not been tried before.
Well, there's several. Dayton isn't a hub. It's actually a regional center with our highways, 675, 75, 70, Route 4. And what we have not done is capture that transportation hub to collectively a comprehensive plan. There was a concept of a 90-minute market. You're able, a jobber, a manufacturer is able to reach within 90 minutes a market. That's why Amazon is located where it is, because that fleet that you see running all over the place is able to reach a market. But we don't have, as a city of Dayton or as a region, a marketing development strategy to capture that momentum. And we had a concept back in the 80s. It was thought of, kicked around, but never a comprehensive regional plan to actually make it work. Another thing that we don't have is a regional safety and protection of our water resources. we're under a massive aquifer, the city of Dayton, and 9 counties share our water, share that aquifer. And the city of Dayton needs to be a leader to protect our water supply. Now, I've gone to several meetings. There's problems on Leostrill with the manufacturing, the leaking of the chemicals. It's in the groundwater. The airport, they've reached one of our wells that had to be shut off.
Okay, thank you
There's a
very
valley
much.
crest.
Thank you
And
very
so
much.
those are all some of the things that we need to do. A
Okay,
regional
thank you.
safety protection for
Thank
water
you.
and a 90-minute market.
And Matt Joseph, the city of Dayton has one of the highest per unit rates of vacant and blighted properties compared to other cities in Ohio. What is your plan to address vacant properties and prevent blight?
That's a good question. So it's like Commissioner Shaw said a few minutes ago, it took us a few decades to get into this problem. It's going to take us a little while to get out, but we're working toward it. The first thing we're doing is we've allocated enough money over the next few years, $22 million, to knock down 1,100 of the worst houses that can't be rebuilt, houses that really are beyond saving, are safety, dangerous to kids in the neighborhood, things that the neighbors have been asking for a long time. So the next few years, we're going to knock down 1,100 houses. At the same time, we're working to save the ones that are salvageable. We're going to spend, well, we already did. We gave Rebuilding Together, an organization that helps folks rebuild their houses and be able to stay in them. We gave them $1.8 million. We're going to be able to repair over 100 homes in neighborhoods that are at tipping points, where a little bit of money, a little bit of repair is going to make a big difference in neighborhoods. We've awarded almost $1 million to Habitat for Humanity to do work where they traditionally build new, like infill houses, new houses. They're actually now renovating houses too, and we're very glad to see that in the city of Dayton. And on top of those things, we're also doing things to make neighborhoods more attractive, even outside just housing. So we're going to put in new sidewalks. We're going to make sure that brush is clear, trash is picked up. We've increased the mowing schedule already for vacant land and vacant housing. So we're prepared to do whatever it takes to clean up our neighborhoods and make them more attractive for people to move in. Thank you.
And Christopher Shaw, the city of Dayton has one of the highest per unit rates of vacant and blighted properties compared to other cities in Ohio. What is your plan to address vacant properties and prevent blight?
Yes, that's absolutely true, and I agree with Commissioner Joseph, and the information that he put forward about what we've been doing in that space. Blight removal is a huge part of that, but it's not the only part. It's really about being able to salvage a lot of these properties and to then make the neighborhood gateways much more attractive so that we could have folks that want to come in and take advantage of these great opportunities. And that's what they are. I've toured many of our most blighted neighborhoods, and the views of downtown, it's just fantastic. And I know that we can get back to where we once were. We have been putting money toward rebuilding Dayton together, rebuilding together Dayton. Same thing with Habitat for Humanity, where we're going into these neighborhoods and giving them intentional service and resources to help them keep the neighborhoods up. I've seen the changes. I know that we are having impact, and we've just got to continue to do that work. It's very important because we don't have unlimited resources to reach out and to find other grants and opportunities. That's part of what I'm doing here this week, and we're going to continue to do that work, talking to HUD and others that can bring resources into our neighborhoods. And that's what we're going to continue to do. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Marcus Benninger, the city of Dayton has one of the highest per unit rates of vacant and blighted properties compared to other cities in Ohio. What is your plan to address vacant properties and prevent blight?
Thank you so much for the question. And thank you, Commissioner Shaw, for touring these blighted neighborhoods. I live here, I live in Roosevelt. My neighbor to one side is a nice gentleman, Mr. Allen. We'll give you the shirt off his back if you need it. My neighbor to the other side is an abandoned house. The trees are overgrowing the power line. The city did cut the grass the other day, thank you, but nothing else is done. In the wintertime, my neighbor, Mr. Allen, is terrified that we will lose power because frozen tree branches are hanging over our power line. And I think it's the height of audacity to acknowledge that these problems are decades in the making, but not acknowledge your role. And we have commissioners here that have been on the commission for a long time who could have addressed this. Yes, we're playing catch up. And I think it's about priorities. And earlier we heard that downtown Dayton drives the development for the rest of the city, but it doesn't have to. I think that's, one set of priorities, but another set of priorities, mine, would say we can take care of our neighborhoods and make them attractive before we throw a bunch of money into downtown Dayton. Because people live here and have to walk on these sidewalks and have to look at these trees and have to walk down these dark alleys. So it's important to do it because these are our neighbors and these are Dayton residents who deserve communities that they are proud to live in. And so my plan would be, of course, changing the priorities. I don't think as much as we need a vibrant downtown, I don't think that we have to prioritize downtown for the rest of our neighborhoods to look great and be livable. And so that's what I would change, is the priorities there and that set of priorities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Valerie Duncan, the city of Dayton has one of the highest per unit rates of vacant and blighted properties compared to other cities in Ohio. What is your plan to address vacant properties and prevent blight?
Well, thank you for that question. Yes, again, we need to have a comprehensive plan. It was so sad when the Wright Brothers manufacturing plant went up in flames. And that's what's happening until a lot of blighted vacant houses. The homeless are going in there. They're cold. They start fires. There might be next right to a resident that is occupied. And that's part of the problem, but only a part. We have to have a comprehensive plan to address our neighborhood residential housing. Yes, demolition is one of the answers. But right now, the way the policy for the city commission, this present city commission, Chris Shaw and Matt Joseph has approved, the policies that are in place right now, we will not get to all of the blighted parts of our housing stock. That's not going to happen under the current policy. Also, under the current policy, it's will not have the neighbors program to all the neighborhoods. It's only limited to a certain sector. And so we need a comprehensive plan that we need to address our homeless situation because that's causing a lot of problems with the fires. We need a total plan so that we have a plan for restoration, a plan for repair, a plan to help the seniors in their homes, and to encourage home ownership through a $1 home ownership program.
Thank you very much. And David Ezrati, the city of Dayton has one of the highest per unit rates of vacant and blighted properties compared to other cities in Ohio. What is your plan to address vacant properties and prevent blight?
Don't worry, Mr. Bettinger. It took them 30 years to get my name right. You'll be
I'm sorry,
okay
Mr.
sooner or later.
Bettinger. One of these days I'll get it.
I got into this city because I could buy a house for $14,500. I figured I'd fix it up, be here about 5 years and leave. First thing the city did was prosecute me for fixing up my house because I put up wood grain vinyl garage doors instead of wood or vinyl. Now we have, in the historic district right next door, this front door. Would have been illegal. This full view door we have here would have been illegal back in my day. They would have gone to jail or shoveled dog poop or had it replaced. That doesn't happen anymore. What happens is perfectly good homes end up like this. We are not enforcing our housing codes at all. This house across the street from me, Hoarders that were in it. It was been condemned for 2 years. Nothing's been done to fix it. The front yard still looks like crap. This one right across the street, gutters have been down for years. It's been foreclosed on. There's a guy squatting in it. He has all his junk out in the front yard. Chris Shaw and Matt Joseph don't know how to do this. In fact, I'm going to talk about my friend James Kent, who had a great program where he hired ex-convicts to deconstruct homes, to take the bones out of them and stop putting them from being put in landfills, where these guys would make money. They'd recycle parts of the old homes and have them for sale. Contract came up for renewal, and no, Matt Joseph and Chris Shaw did not vote to continue that contract. They gave it more over to one of these big companies that all they want to do is plow it under and take it to the landfill. I don't work for the landfill companies. I don't work for the demolition companies, but I'm pretty sure Chris Shaw and Matt Joseph and Jeff Mims have been getting a lot of money from those people, and that's why we're in the state we're in. They like it when they tear down houses.
Jordan Wortham. The city of Dayton has one of the highest per unit rates of vacant and blighted properties compared to other cities in Ohio. What is your plan to address vacant properties and prevent blight?
That's a great question. I would do transformational change. We've heard from some candidates how great the city of Dayton is. I think that people listening here would believe to the contrary. The blight leads to everything. Our youth not feeling safe. We're double in homicides year to date. We're not in a state to where we should be. There's no teamwork with the commissioners. Like Mr. Israti said, we need some ordinances done. Civil penalties need to be expedited. We need to attract private investment. So outside investors, we need to hold them accountable, create new rules to where if they're not adhering to housing violations, we can put liens on houses. I think like other cities, we have housing inspectors that can do yearly checkups on short-term rental properties, Airbnb properties, annual checkups, follow-ups. We had numerous housing inspectors. They all been pretty much decimated, 90% been cut. There's no enforcement. The current city of Dayton is it's incentivizing outside investors to make as much money from the city of Dayton. They don't care. We know that we need to fight the blight. We know that the current state, the current commission are not addressing these issues. There's, like Mr. Israti gave a few examples, there's thousands of examples. And secondly, we can't just keep tearing down properties. We have to look at some properties that we can save and focus on how we can incentivize more in terms of what we're doing now. Some of these properties have historic value. I think we can save it. As a former police officer, this blight problem is leading to prostitution, to murders, to just crime all over the place, and it hurts our youth. And if as a commissioner, I would definitely invest into swimming pools and recreational centers. And thank you.
And now for our closing. We'd like to provide each candidate with 1 minute for a closing statement, and we'll start with Christopher Shaw.
Thank you, and thank you again to the League of Women Voters for this opportunity and for this event. I'm proud to be a Dayton City Commissioner, and I hope to have the opportunity to continue to do this important work. No, things are not perfect in Dayton, but we are moving in the right direction, and we are being intentional about addressing those systemic problems that have affected communities like ours across this nation. I want to continue to do the work. We've done good work, but there's a long way to go. And it's my experienced leadership that will help us get to where we want to be. Won't be easy. We have to all work together. And I know that at the end of the day, we're going to be much stronger and much more connected than we've ever been. I know that folks are attracted to this region. They are looking at Dayton. There are conversations across this country about this very hot market, Dayton, Ohio, and I want to continue to serve. And I ask you for your vote.
And Jordan Wortham, please provide us with a 1 minute closing statement.
Yes, in closing, I would like to say neighborhood advancement is key. Ordinances, fighting the blight is huge. Secondly, our youth. As a former Dayton police officer, I understand how youth is the future. They don't have anything to do. We need recreational centers. We need to have more events. Youth have too much idle time. They don't feel appreciated, and that just leads to crime. Last, commissioners-led engagement. Like back in the day, CJ McClin, Dean Lovelace, where you could actually talk to the commissioners. You had dialogue. We need to have rules where commissioners are actually out in the street picking up the trash, like Commissioner Turner Sloss and Commissioner Fairchild. They're actually there, they're touchable, you can see them, you can talk to them. And that's what I want to expound upon, making it more two-way communication. I don't have all the answers to the problems, and I don't know all the problems. I just want to be accessible. Thank you.
And Marcus Bettinger, please provide us with a 1-minute closing statement.
Perfect time to get it right. Thank you so much.
Finally.
And thank you. It's okay. And thank you to the League of Women Voters for having me and for the questions. Thank you so much. I think anyone who is paying attention to the City Commission right now can see that it's broken. And there's a lot of talk about the advancements being made and how much is being done, but it's by a small cabal of people who have made decisions in back rooms. And I think that's not fair to the full community. And so I would like to cut through the chaos, be an unwavering vote for the progress of this entire city. And that includes West and East Dayton and not just downtown, with this idea or mindset of like trickle down to the neighborhoods and eventually they will see it. And you know, ultimately, I think we're in a moment where we have an opportunity for a new vision, a fresh voice in this race, and I think I'm that person. And so I'm asking for people's support. Visit marcusfordayton.com to check out my full platform. Thank you so much.
And Valerie Duncan, please provide us with a 1-minute closing statement.
Okay, thank you again for the League of Women Voters for this event. As a city commissioner, I will serve all parts of Dayton, and I will make sure that the policies and procedures that the city commission passes affect everybody. It will be equal and will be fair. We need a comprehensive housing plan. We need to address the blight. We need to do the repairs. We need to restore our historical structures. We need to have people have a home ownership. We need to help our seniors and the women that have been abused and are homeless and the ones that are recovering drugs. We need to have a comprehensive plan for that. We need to have a comprehensive regional plan for our water safety, so that is protected. And we need to have a comprehensive youth plan. So I hope I can get your vote May 2nd. Vote for Valerie Duncan. Go to Dayton 4, number 4, Dayton, DuncanForDayton.com, sorry, DuncanForDayton.com, number 4, and hopefully you'll pledge to support me.
Thank you. And David Isradi, please provide us with a 1-minute closing statement.
I'd like to thank all the voters that voted for me when I ran for Congress last year against Mike Turner. I do the hard things. I do the things that people are afraid to do. I got 17,333 votes in the city of Dayton that time. That's more than anybody's had for a commission for a long time. I know I'm controversial. I'm controversial because I ask hard questions and I pose solutions. If you got any questions that aren't answered in these soundbite answers here, go to Isradi.com and just search on any term that interests you. Demolition to how to change the city to Parks and Rec to Sportsplex. You will find lots of content. There's over 3,500 posts going back to 2005. I've exposed corruption. I've exposed people being tortured in our jails while in restraints. I have fought to make sure that the people aren't just whitewashed and told this is all wonderful and beautiful and give us another 4 years. The most important thing you can do is not vote for Chris Shaw and Matt Joseph this primary.
Thank you. And Matt Joseph, please provide us with a 1-minute closing statement.
Thank you. First, thank you, Dianne, and thank you to the League for the opportunity to talk about the upcoming election. It's important that we do this, and I appreciate you all's role in this. I'm proud of my work as a Dayton City Commissioner. I hope to have the opportunity, as I mentioned in my opening statement, to continue this work. We've come through some tough times. We've made good progress. There's still work to do, and I really want to be a part of that. I'm proud to work alongside my colleagues and City Hall staff. We're working to make Dayton a great place to live, work, raise a family, and enjoy a vibrant, thriving community. That's our vision. We want to make sure that Dayton remains an attractive city for new employers with good paying jobs, that our neighborhoods are clean and safe, and that we're investing in the city's infrastructure and in our youth, something that most of us are talking about already. Like I said, we've made a lot of progress. Continuing the progress requires experienced leadership. It's not something you want to throw somebody new in and expect them to get up to speed quickly and to continue to pick up where we are. We need experienced voices and experienced commissioners. I ask for your support. Thank you.
We would like to thank all of the candidates who are running for the position of Dayton City Commission, and we wish them good luck in their campaigns. And the League of Women Voters encourages all the candidates to run an issues-oriented campaign. Our goal is to educate the voting public and strengthen the elective political process. Additional questions will be asked of the candidates on Vote 411, which will be available on our website in mid-April. Please check our website at League of Women Voters. Early voting for the upcoming special election begins April 4th at your Board of Elections, or you can request an absentee ballot. But I'd also like to remind everyone that the identification requirements for in-person voting have changed just recently. So whether you vote early or you vote on Election Day on May 2nd, these are the acceptable forms of identification in order to vote. An unexpired Ohio driver's license, an unexpired Ohio State identification card, and beginning April 7th, this identification can be acquired at the Bureau of Motor Vehicles free of charge. So we encourage you to get that identification. It's handy in any case. And then there's also an interim identification form, which you can get from the Bureau of Motor Vehicles also. A U.S. passport or passport card is also acceptable identification to vote. And a U.S. military identification, Ohio National Guard identification, or a U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs ID card that includes the voter's name and photograph. Remember, your opinion matters and helps make our democracy work. If you have any questions, please feel free to call our league office at area code 937-228-4041. And please remember to vote.